Hello, welcome to CallPotential's Fireside chat on operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Holly Fiorello, and I'm the Director of Marketing for CallPotential. With me today are Philip Murphy and Peter Speckenagel. Phil is the president of Nextdoor Self-Storage and the founder and CEO of CallPotential. Peter is the CEO of Citizen Storage and the Director of Business Development for CallPotential. With the current state of affairs, there's been a lot of back and forth dialogue between us and some of our operator friends. Just to start it off right off the bat, what are you guys doing? Are you closing your stores?
For us, obviously, as Holly, as you mentioned, we've got a number of stores. We're really taking a kind of look and see as we're going. We haven't closed any stores yet, but we're really preparing for that eventuality. The way we're looking at it is we're going to end up with stores either through governmental mandate or through just employees calling off, either being sick or being worried about coming in. And so we're really needing to make sure our disaster plans are in place right now and before that happens, so we're not scrambling the moment it takes place.
Yeah, and some of the things we're doing too, and traditionally self-storage, we don't have large crowds that gather in our offices or along the properties. So we're a little bit different than a restaurant or a convention where you have these large crowds that you could possibly have people, infecting other people. So for our industry, it's a little bit different. So we, with Citizen Storage, are not closing down our stores right now, but we're taking a couple of measures to make sure we do try to limit customer employee interactions to a minimum, and then also are trying to make sure we're abiding by the CDC's rule on making sure we're sanitizing and cleaning high traffic areas. And we're also making sure that we never have double coverage at any of the locations that our managers are just working by themselves currently. So and it seems as Phil, we're going to be kind of a wait and see as if the government mandates us to close down business, and we'll obviously adhere to that. But we want to make sure the properties are being maintained, kept, and still being able to be serviced by not only our employees, but being able to take care of our tenants as well.
Yeah, and really what Peter said there is really the whole thing. We've got to make sure we're ready to go. We've got to make sure we're kind of taking it step by step as we're going. It's too fluid of a situation. One of the things that we did was really looking at it and going, okay, what we just implemented actually as of today was kind of a rolling option for our employees. Those employees that feel comfortable with a full service office, we're giving them that option to have that full service office. Those that aren't, we're allowing them to lock the door, put up a sign, handle everything over the phone, basically in essence turning ourselves into somewhat of a remote answer or remote call center type approach. For those customers that might be immunocompromised or feel there's a risk there, we're giving them the option to take that time off, or if a family member has contracted an illness that causes them not to be able to be in. So it's really starting to give some of those options, starting to see some of those things that a few weeks ago we didn't think were possibilities, but really having to make sure our customers and our employees stay as safe as possible.
Yeah, and kind of piggyback off that, I think it's really important too that our employees, we want to make sure we're taking care of them as well. And the restaurant industries are being hit pretty hard with hourly employees being out of work, and it's a nice thing with our industry that we do have kind of well, we don't have large crowds or things like that. So we're still able to, up until government mandating it, make sure that the employees are still working, and the properties are taken care of, and also our tenants
Peter,
are being serviced as well.
So it sounds like you're not stopping any customers from coming on the property at this point.
Not currently. We're just sanitizing the high traffic areas and making sure my managers are wiping down all the counters when after a tenant comes in, wiping down door handles. We're a U-Haul dealer as well, and we want to make sure we're wiping down the steering wheels, door handles, dashes with all the Lysol wipes, and really just trying to prevent it that way. As things continue to escalate, we are probably going to take the same method that you are, where we're going to actually lock down the door and put a sign up on it, and still have an employee there to be able to service maybe somebody who needs like an emergency service at the property, that they can go out and actually work with the customer. But right now we are allowing customers into the property, but we are just being very careful with how we clean the entire office and trucks and door handles and stuff like that.
Are you guys seeing any difference in traffic coming in? Whether it's in person or phone or lead or customers? Are you seeing pretty business as usual?
No, we're seeing leads cut down, and I think a lot of the move-ins that we typically would see in March is kind of our lease-up season. Start period is it's gone down, but we also haven't seen very many move-outs either. So it's kind of we're not increasing, but we're not decreasing either. So it's we're kind of just maintaining it where we were coming into this a week and a half ago. It just feels like we're in a completely different world than we were last week, and it's a crazy thing. And I think everyone's flexibility has been pretty impressive from the employee standpoint to tenants. Right now it's everyday changes. So tomorrow might be something different, and I think we just have to be very flexible with how we operate the properties and kind of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing basically the same thing. We're seeing lead traffic kind of drying up a little bit, not to a detrimental level, but we're really not seeing people. If they're not going to go out for anything other than groceries and drugstores, it's unlikely they're coming out to rent units. However, we are seeing people still calling. We are seeing still some web reservations, things like that coming in, but not at the same scale. But just like you said, we're seeing the same thing in our stores of the move outs not really taking place. Now, granted, we're mid-month right now, so it's not a high move out season, but at least for the areas my stores are in, we're in a lockdown basically till the end of the month.
Right.
We're anticipating it's not going to be a top order of people to get out and go do to move out of a storage unit. So I think in the end, I agree with you. It's going to be a net neutral, move in and move out change. But obviously that's different than what a lot of people have probably forecast for their properties.
If we go, so like you guys are saying, it's rapidly evolving situation. If the next phase of closing is actual government mandating that all businesses close their doors that aren't, pharmacies and grocery stores like we're seeing in Italy, what are your contingency plans?
Yeah, it's a great question. I know for us, I still plan on making sure our employees are taken care of and have a place to work, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the office. And we are going to be able to use technology to be able to run the properties. And then, so let's say it does come to that point where we have to close down the office. I would have my employees work probably half a day at home using CallPotential software to answer phones remotely through the call center part of it, where we can have telecommuting employees. And then the other half of the day, I would have them come to the properties, do their full walkthrough, make sure to do their lock checks, make sure there's nothing wrong with the property, make sure to check if anyone's moved out, and we're then to be able to do leases all over the phone electronically, and then they can go to the property, prepare that unit, leave a lock right inside the unit, or any merchandise that they want to sell to that tenant, take the payment over the phone. We've set up our business to be able to be managed on-site or remotely, and through technology, we're able to do that fairly well. We're probably going to put a sign up on the door where has a direct number to a pay by phone IVR system, so when they make the call, they can make their payment right over the phone. And then our website too, if they need to do anything with our website, or they can log into their account there and make their payment as well. So we got some plans already in place, but if you're listening and you're an operator, I would highly encourage you to figure out and plan for if the possibility you have to close down your locations due to the coronavirus pandemic that's happening right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're doing a lot of those same things. It's one of those where directing them to those kind of unattended, whether it's the website, the pay by phone. Luckily with a lot of the things that we use out of the CallPotential system, we've had our own call center, which is a distributed call center. So we went and ordered some $20 headsets off of Amazon, gave them out to each of our managers so that they're able to continue to answer phones when they're back home, through a computer.
What do you mean by distributed call center? Can you explain?
Yeah, sorry. So rather than our managers having to come into the office, we're able to sit there and kind of roll between 2-3 managers at a time. So if we have 80% of our staff out, we can have those people at home that might have a laptop or a Chromebook and a headset off Amazon, or really you can pick them up at Target and Walmart too, any USB headset, or even a cell phone with AirPods. They're able to continue answering calls for our entire portfolio. So now the nice thing is because of that call center application we're using, we can do payments, we can do move-ins, we can do really our core functions that we need to do remotely. So that will help us with our business continuity, along with, as Peter was saying, the pay by phone, the website aspect. We expect our traffic to drop considerably if there is that mandated lockdown, but we do, especially as we approach the first of the month, need to figure out how to make sure that money's coming in, and that's going to help us a lot with being able to kind of sustain that through that end of March, beginning of April time frame, as things seem to only be getting worse.
For sure. Yeah. And having systems that are in the cloud base where all you really need is a laptop and the internet connection helps out quite a lot. Another thing for like us as U-Haul dealers, U-Haul is a 24/7 system where there's lock boxes on the fence that we put the keys into. And when the customer wants to rent something, they just have to go on U-Haul's website. They can rent it over their phone, and we don't need to be in the office. So even the U-Haul rentals part of our business still can function, even if the office isn't closed. We have the ability to check, see what type of rentals are coming online, and just making sure the whole company, the operations, can be remote managed. But again, there's going to be a different business, but we hopefully we can service those people who absolutely need to do U-Haul rentals, rent units, make payments, do all the things that you would need to be able to do remotely. And technology is a big piece of setting us up to do this.
Peter, what are you doing around auctions and late fees? Are you making any changes? Are you kind of keeping things as is?
So right now, kind of everything's as is for normal tenants. We will be taking each case by case. So we had somebody reach out yesterday who was affected by the coronavirus. We're reaching out to them directly, figuring out their situation, and we're going to try to work with them the best we can. And that's a myriad of things. And the current customer is not delinquent at all, but they're just concerned about what's potentially coming up and affecting them. For auction units, we are suspending all our auctions for the rest of this month in April, and then we're going to kind of get back into it and try to get people back on the right page with this stuff. But it's really important to make sure you're dealing with everyone on a case-by-case basis. We have a macro view on what we want to do with the property, and then dealing with individual tenants is kind of a micro view or a micro plan on how to handle stuff on an ongoing basis. We want to be reasonable, but at the same time, we do have bills that we have to pay, we have employees we have to pay, and we want to make sure that people are living up to their end of the agreement, that when they sign the lease that they're going to make payments as well.
Yeah, and we're very much the same way. We suspended our auctions. Late fees. We've suspended all of our lien fees and a lot of those other ones. And then as customers are coming in, if they're coming to us with hardships, we're really revisiting those and like you said, make it on a case by case basis as to what's the circumstance that they're in. But giving directive to my managers to be flexible. One of the things that we've also done is around our revenue management, right? Our raising system, we've gone and looked at that and for the month of March, just suspended our rent raises. For any new rent raises, any rent raises that have already gone out or gone into effect, obviously that was already out pre-COVID. But it's going to be more a matter of, okay, let's make sure we don't continue to send those out. And we're going to revisit that every month and make a decision as to where do we think this is? Do we continue the policies around late fees and rent changes and things like that? Really trying to kind of lock those in, because I think one of the big parts is while legally there you may be entitled to fees or late fees, and contractually, I mean, it's also one of those things where we're looking at having to manage our public image, and so going out there, and if we give that impression, though legally in any of these we may be on the right to do something, especially the Google review, kind of the power of the consumer that's out there. You've got to be very careful of the wrong message getting out. You becoming the poster child for a viral campaign of taking advantage of the situation. I mean, I think all of us read about the guy with the 17,000 bottles of
hand sanitizer.
Yeah, exactly. None of us want to be that guy when it comes to storage. Right or wrong, nobody wants to go viral in a negative context like that.
Yeah, I think it's so important to handle everything case by case and have a heart when you're dealing with this stuff. People's lives are really affected by this. Like we said earlier on this call is that, a lot of the part-time or full-time hourly employees on the public, restaurants, bars, travel industry are going to be severely affected by this. And you got to have a heart on it, but you have to deal with every case as they come up. And it may be different tomorrow on how we deal with things based on what's happening. So I'm taking it day by day, and things are changing day by day. So
just a little. Well, and I mean, one of the things that we're looking at too is, just like the lead flow, is it something we need to address marketing? Is it something we need to address specials wise? And we've seen a few operators go out there and offer 30 days or different specials or trying to up or lower, marketing spend. Are you seeing any kind of change in your marketing approach right now? I know for us, we're kind of status quo on our marketing side. We're floating a couple ideas on different things. Are you adjusting anything, or kind of for now
So,
we're gonna leave it where it is?
yeah, we're not adjusting anything right now. We're leaving as is. If anything, we may actually pull back on marketing, because marketing can't create demand, right? Marketing's not going to convince somebody like, oh, I didn't know about storage. I really want to get a storage unit. Like, so it's not, it's not the awareness part of the marketing. If there is not demand in the market for it, you're just spending money and getting no returns on it. But again, I think it's too soon to really figure that out. Like, we don't really know how it's going to be affected. As we come into lease up season, people are buying and selling homes. I don't think that's going to change too much. I think a lot of real estate agents out there are going to be struggling probably this spring and summer due to all this stuff, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be taking big chances on home purchases, which could affect the storage industry. But like I said, I think we're going to have reduced move outs. I think we're going to see a slowdown, but again, you got to see if nothing's open for the next 6-7 weeks. Do I really need to be spending marketing money on people that aren't going to be actually moving in? So right now, it's again one of those things where it's only been a week, and I don't want to make changes on our marketing campaigns till like we have a little bit further into this and see kind of our leads really drying up severely. And if I can reduce that, maybe I can save money there. Because if I'm throwing money after stuff that we're not getting type of results at. So
yeah, because I mean, obviously we're heading into a busy season right now, or what has historically been a busy season, and obviously with everybody locked down, that may not be the case, and so it'll be a kind of a telling as to, does this shift the busy season? Does this kill part of the busy season? I think it's really a big question mark. A lot of us are trying to figure out, and I don't think anybody's really going to know until we're through it.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
One of the things too, I don't know, are you doing anything different? I know when it comes to communicating with employees, we've talked to a few of our larger operators that are out there. We've had a number of operators come to us trying to quickly get in place call centers, trying to quickly get coverage because either they don't have something in place, or they've got, or they want to have more control over it. But one of the things that we're also seeing a lot of questions around is internal communications. A lot of people have kind of reliable in-store communications, whether they use Slack or they use email. But it's how do I communicate with my employees in the midst of them not being in the office? I know one of the things that we started doing was really putting together there's a GroupMe text app, and so we started creating that so we could get everybody on it, so we can communicate with everybody across all of our stores at once, because Slack or email or different things like that, that's not as reliable of a communication method. I don't know have you heard of or seen any other ideas or things like that, for people kind of getting those messages out there, because the big thing that we're dealing with is, okay, if we close or if we do something, we can kind of go through the chain, but especially for larger operators, how do you get that message across?
Yeah, so we currently have all our employees have Slack downloaded on their personal cell phones, and that's how we communicate currently. I have used the GroupMe chat function to make sure everyone gets texted before. I think it's really something that we have to pay close attention to on the communication standpoint on an internal basis. And if somebody doesn't respond back on Slack, I typically then follow it up with a personal text. If they don't respond, I'll call. So I just want to make sure everyone's fully aware of what's going on in a timely basis. So it becomes a little bit harder task when you have a larger portfolio. But for us, it's a little bit easier for us because we have a little bit smaller one.
Well, I think that's most of our topics. I don't know, Holly, do you have anything else or?
No, I mean, you guys have got so much going on. This is just crazy. thank you for your time, and let's get back together and talk about this again when we know where we're at.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
for
having
sure.
us and continue the conversation in the future.
Perfect. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Be safe, everyone.